Now to NBC5 investigates in our recent series Lessons in Betrayal uncovered allegations of grooming and teacher misconduct inside of one Chicago public school.
It caught the attention of an Illinois woman who has already been the voice for change here in the state. Faith Colson is the namesake of an Illinois law known as Faith's Law, which expanded the definition of grooming and increased background check requirements for schools when hiring teachers and staff.
She tells NBC5 investigates that there's still a lot of work to do trying to fix a loophole she says is putting students at risk. Here's investigative reporter Bennett Haeberle.
I remember what it's like to be the kid that's trapped. And I'm okay now because I got help, but it took me 17 years to get help.
It took Faith Colson nearly 2 decades to come to terms with what happened to her. A conversation with a friend led her to make a delayed outcry to Schaumburg police about a former teacher that she says groomed her.
I'm not the same person I was before I got abused. That girl is gone. That he took my innocence and I won't get it back. I was able to go to court. Most don't get to do that.
The teacher was eventually charged, convicted, and is now a registered sex offender. But proving her case meant prosecutors had to convince jurors she was 17 when the sex started. If she'd been 18, it wouldn't have been illegal. That's because in Illinois, teachers can certainly lose their jobs for having sex with students, but it's not considered a crime if that student is 18 and consents. Faith wants to change that.
We're not saying categorically that no 18-year-old can consent to anything. We're saying that's not an equal power level, and so a teacher is preying upon the student's vulnerability, and the age isn't what changes that, it's the enrollment status.
An NBC5 investigates analysis of state laws across the country found a patchwork of regulations. In states like Arkansas and Louisiana, it's a crime for teachers to have sex with students up to age 21. In Alabama, it's 19. In Indiana and Michigan, the law focuses less on the age of the student and more on the position of authority the teacher holds over that student that makes sexual contact a crime. In Nebraska, teachers are prohibited from having sex with a student even a year after they graduate.
I feel like as a student, going to school should be a safe place where you have adults that have your best interests at heart. That didn't happen here.
I just feel like so taken advantage of.
In our recent investigative series, Lessons in Betrayal, we spoke to several former students of Little Village Lawndale High School here in Chicago who said they felt they were groomed into sexual relationships by various educators over several years.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
In most cases, the women said they felt the teachers began grooming them while they were still students, that the sex happened after they turned 18, or in the days, weeks, or months after they graduated. Since 2017, at least 7 teachers or administrators have resigned or been fired from Little Village High School amid allegations of misconduct. Only one, Brian Crowder, was charged with a crime.
What message would you have for the former student who says you abused her?
In early July, a jury convicted him of sexual assault and sexual abuse. In his case, the sex began with the student when she was just 15.
I would say it's harmful whether or not they start the sex before or after graduation, because the power dynamic started before graduation. So I appreciated that your coverage showed this is harmful to students and we need to do something.
I recently traveled to Texas to interview Faith, who says she is not pushing to criminalize sex between teachers and recent graduates.
Time means more kids abused, and time means more perpetrators not being held accountable.
But efforts to change Illinois law to prohibit teachers from having sex with enrolled students between the ages of 18 to 22 have fallen short. During the past 2 legislative sessions, 2 separate bills that would have addressed this have languished. And 5 years ago, a task force impaneled by Governor Pritzker issued this report, arguing that by raising the age of consent to 22, they could close the enforcement gap and allow law enforcement to focus less on the age of the victim and more on the abuse of the individual's position of trust.
I hope that the coverage and this extended interview is another cry like, senators, please call the bill. Please give this a chance, because we want to address this problem that educators face no, or school employees face no criminal consequence if they groom their 17-year-old student and then start having sex with them while they're still students.
A spokesman for the Illinois Senate president says while there is interest, they have not been able to reach a consensus on specific language for this bill. In the meantime, Faith says our recent reporting pointed out something else. the need for better information sharing. As we reported, 3 educators who resigned from Chicago public schools and were investigated for misconduct allegations later got jobs in Elgin. That district said it was unaware, placed them on administrative leave, while the Chicago Public Schools Inspector General looked into this matter. We have now learned that that 3-year investigation is now complete. We have filed a records request asking for a copy. CPS has now asked for a time extension, so now we wait.
So much more work needs to be done, though, in fighting this crime.
And that's what Faith has said. She has advocated for this change. There's obviously been a little bit of discussion behind the scenes in the Illinois legislature. It just hasn't been enough to sort of get everyone on the same page on what the language should be.
Stuck on the wording there.
That's right.
Figure it out.
Yep.
I'm glad you're on the story for us.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.